headphones with a vacuum tube in them. These are the Écoute Tube Amplified headphones. These are not your standard headphones. In fact, what is special about them is they have a vacuum tube built on the inside of here. So let's check it out. Just headphones. If you are into audio, you probably have heard of vacuum tubes. Essentially, from what I understand, it's an anode and a cathode and something in the middle that helps electricity go through it, and then it sounds really good. That's a terrible explanation, but if you've ever listened to something with vacuum tubes, you know that it tends to have like this sort of warm, beautiful signature sound. Now, my dad actually had a Grundig radio, and when you power it up, you can see the tubes powering up and this little green light. All the radio stations definitely had like this very warm, beautifully pronounced like mid-tone to them. It's a real thing, whether or not you consider it distortion or some sort of robust quality about the audio is kind of up to interpretation, but I thought it sounded amazing. If you want something like that in a headphone, normally you would have to have the tube amplifier amp and the wires and stuff like that brought into your headphones. Well, Écoute has sought to do something different here. They have actually put the tube amplifier inside of the headphone. That's right, it's actually all built into there. Apparently it's a tube amp created by Korg for some other purposes, but they were able to modify it and fit it all inside of here. This is the only headset or headphones that I know of that actually have this. When I encountered this at CES and listened to it, I was like, that's a really nerdy, cool, weird concept. And I listened to it, and I got that same sort of warm set of midtones that I thought it would sound like. So I was very impressed. So I actually asked them to send me a copy or a sample of their headphones, and they sent them to me to keep. They didn't tell me what to say here. There was no agreement. I'm just telling you honestly what I think about them. These are definitely more of a premium headphone. In fact, I think the price right now is like $7.99 for these, so it's very expensive. These aren't necessarily competing against your sort of normal consumer-oriented headphones. These are definitely barking up the tree of like hi-fi end headphones and people who are just frankly, honestly, just very nerdy about audio. Like I am, to an extent. I will say I really like the build quality. First off, pulling these out of the box, it's got a huge case. It comes with a 3.5 millimeter audio jack because you can listen to analog audio on this through that, or you can use your USB cable to plug in hi-fi audio in that way. You can also do Bluetooth. I think it's Bluetooth 5.3, though that it does use multiple Bluetooth formats, including LDAC, so you can pump that into there. When I was trying to hear the full quality of the audio, I would plug in my USB-C cable mostly. Just from my personal perspective about the quality of the audio, it definitely brings the mid-tones forward. It kind of reduces the bass. There is not as much bass in these as I have heard in like my normal like Sony X5s or Apple AirPod Maxes. I will say I was listening to some Tracy Chapman, listening to this like the shaker in the background, the guy who just shakes a wand with some beads, and it was very pronounced on this, and it was not as pronounced on like the Apples or the Sonys. Not only are they like a hi-fi headset, but they do also have some of the features that you would expect on a headset you would bring around. It's got 3 buttons here. The top button is your play pause button. Your middle button is your power. And you got that bottom button there. Active noise canceling and audio transparency mode, which I thought was okay. Nothing super crazy about that, but it does work. Also, something nice about the controls here is this entire side of the headphones is an up-down volume switch. It's like a little paddle. To go down, you click down, and to go up, you click up. It's great. It's a huge button, essentially, is what it is. It's kind of like the equivalent of the Wonder Boom here.
Power on.
All right. So it's powered on. You can see the little light in there. That's the vacuum tube in there doing its job. I will say this about these. The fit. These are actually a little bit big for headphones. If you wear like a small size hat, you're going to find that these are a little too big. So I would recommend getting the insert that's like $20 on their website that just reduces the size of these on your head a little bit. At my current head size, they kind of sit right on top of my ear and pull my ear down a little bit, so they are a little too big. I would put the build quality honestly on par with like the Apple AirPod Maxes. It even has the little left and right numbers. Build quality of these is nice. They also come in a different color. They come in brown and a brighter metallic finish, which actually I think those are the more signature. So I have actually grabbed my X5, my Apple AirPod Maxes, and my Bose QC Ultras so that you can hear the difference between these headphones and them. So let's take a listen, put on your headphones, because it'll be a little bit easier to discern.
Born over a fault line, bad teeth and worse habits, high heels in a trailer. If you want it, you should have it. Cracking like a glacier. Any semblance of restraint. Simple observations of a tired out complaint. I get in my way. 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 Amplify, watch it.
I will say I personally, you see, this is it. I personally actually like the Apple AirPod Maxes the most. I felt like they were the most balanced. All of the other headphones had more bass than these. So you do give up a considerable amount of bass when you put these on. It's not necessarily a negative thing. It's just something to be aware of. These don't produce the frequencies in the same way, at least from what I can tell, which makes me prefer the other headphones. Though I will say there might be just a little bit more like processing in the other headphones compared to these. If you were listening to like an analog source, there you might get a slightly better experience with these. I had my mom listen to these compared to the Apple AirPod Maxes. She preferred the Apple. And honestly, yeah, they're significantly cheaper. They are not meant to be like super high fidelity headphones, though they are really good. These are kind of in a different category. It's almost not appropriate to compare these because these are kind of going after a different consumer. So what Écoute has done here is they have created a very unique, unusual piece of audio technology that I think is kind of a pleasure to have out there. And I think some people are really going to enjoy these, especially if you like a very present, clear mid-range with a little bit of warmth to it. Anyways, what do you guys think? Thanks for sticking around and hanging out with me as we tried out these beautiful little Écoute headphones. And thanks to them for sending them my way and letting me give my honest opinion. That's what helps fund the channel. If you made it to the end, you get a little vacuum tube star. I don't know, I just made up that sound. So, bye. If you made it to the end of the video, leave a comment, just say hello. It doesn't even have to have anything to do with these headphones. I just want to see if you're paying attention, to be quite honest. Do it. Leave a comment. I'm telling you, you better leave. Do it. Because I don't know how to end the video. Once this thing's off from the internet, I feed on your comments to keep myself socially fed. And it's the sad part about my life. So, yeah. Thanks for being here.